Well, hello everyone. This is your host, Too Clever Mafia. You are listening to the Too Clever Mafia podcast. Hello, AJ, over in the sound booth. Hello to all my Mafians and you listening out there today. And you might be wondering what happened to us yesterday. Well, we normally launch our podcast on Fridays, and today is not Friday. We've been launching it on Saturday, and we had some problems, right, AJ? We're back in the sound booth, and it's finally nice to be back here with the air conditioning and all that good stuff. But yeah, we had a major storm come through the East Coast. We film over here in we film. This is not YouTube, right, AJ? No, we record here in our studio over in New Jersey in the United States, and we had I guess it was a tropical storm, a hurricane. I don't know what it was, but it shot up the East Coast of the United States, and we were expecting it to go maybe more out to sea, but it kind of shot up the middle of the Northeast and did some damage. Really destroyed some things around here, and I was out of power from Tuesday afternoon around 12:30 or so till late yesterday, Friday. So that was it was a long time, and it was hot. It was a hot few days. And I'm glad it's back up now because we were told it wasn't going to be on for almost 5 or 6 days, and the dates kept changing on the power company's website and all that good stuff. But AJ, you didn't lose power, right? You went up to visit some relatives up in Connecticut, right? Yeah, AJ took off. Didn't even you lost power in your apartment, but you didn't matter, right? Yeah. Okay. Up in Connecticut, he said he lost power for about an hour or two, but then got it back on pretty quickly. So that's good for you. But yeah, we're going to talk about some stuff today, kind of off schedule, because learned a lot of things, and I want to share them with everyone today and go through my ordeal with you and share all of that fun stuff and give you some tips, some things that we learned, AJ and myself, and from some of the listeners out there that have been tweeting us on how to survive these natural disasters that come through, and wasn't even expecting it, And we'll talk about it, but I lost power. Weather wasn't even bad at that time. So, and we've been through some major hurricanes, like quite a few years ago. Sandy came through the Northeast and did really a lot of damage, and I was out of power for 3 or 4 days then. But yeah, we got to talk about that, and we're gonna get back here and we're going to go over all that fun stuff, right? And in the meantime, don't forget our website over on tooclevermafia.com. Like and subscribe on all our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Watch our YouTube videos and recordings. I do some gameplay over there as well. And it's, people get a real kick out of me playing the video games. I'm doing the PUBG now. But we'll post some of that stuff this weekend now that we've got power back, right? AJ's been working hard to get our equipment good. Luckily, our equipment didn't get damaged in any of this storm, but we didn't have power. So without power, we were out of luck. I felt like I was back in the 1800s. So head over to Patreon if you want to support our show, and Too Clever Mafia, we're over there, and Teespring if you want any of our merchandise, T-shirts. We're going to have some, thanks to the people over on Teespring, we're going to have some branded face masks. So if you want to walk around now that everybody has to wear these face coverings, definitely check us out over there, and you can listen to listen to all of our podcasts on the usual Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Bullhorn, and like and subscribe. It really helps us out. So we're going to be right back after a short commercial break. Got to pay the bills now, right, AJ? We got to pay the bills, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go over my experience with what I went through and the craziness I went through, and what I didn't expect, even though I thought I was prepared, and I wasn't as prepared as I could have been. And then we're going to go over some helpful tips that came out of this that will give us a little bit better situation, right, AJ, if you want to call it? Yeah, it'll give us a little bit better situation next time, a storm rolls through here. And I don't know, lately, AJ, it seems like storms just keep coming through every couple of years, and it just, I don't know if it's infrastructure or things are just getting old and not being repaired because of cost or whatnot. But it seems every time it's getting worse and worse and doing more and more damage. So we'll be right back after this short break, and stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this, and maybe you'll learn a thing or two. Hello, everyone. Welcome back again, and we are going to get right into this. So it was about 12:30 on Tuesday, AJ. I know you were out of here for the week, but it was about 12:30 on Tuesday. I was sitting on my couch watching my television, and I could see outside, and the sun was kind of coming out. It was windy, maybe 20, 30 miles an hour. The wind was kicking up. The rain had stopped because early in the morning and through the evenings it was rain, and it got a little gusty, but everything was good. And then around 12:30, boom, there it goes. Lights went out. And a couple of years ago, after I losing my power and I lost my TV, I got a lightning storm. I think I had it replaced, and I had gotten one of those battery backups for my television, a pretty nice one. I think I got it at the Costco. It was like $100 or something. I don't know. And so my TV stayed on because it was powered by that, and I also have one for my my computer and my internet, because it connects to my phone and all that. And so my TV stays on. The cable is still on at this point, but everything else went off, and then the battery backup starts beeping. So usually, this has happened. I don't know, happens a dozen times a year. When a storm rolls through, but the usually it comes back on within a couple of minutes. This thing starts beeping. So I shut the TV off. I shut the cable. I shut all the computer off because I don't, even though it's supposedly safe because it's like a surge protector, I shut everything off, and the beeping keeps going and going, and eventually they start beeping fast because now it's probably 30 minutes goes by, and I'm just sitting on my couch with Miss Mafia, and it's I'm like, wow, okay, maybe the power's not coming on. These batteries are starting to run dry. I might as well shut them off because the beeping was kind of annoying, and it just we got in the car, right, and we said we're gonna go get a cup of coffee, and in hopes when we get back the power will be on, because now we're sitting here, it's half an hour, it's 1 o'clock and whatnot, and nope, didn't come back on. We got back after getting a cup of coffee. Now we got to deal with the nighttime. This is all very unexpected. So the sun starts going down, starts getting darker in the house. I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock maybe. I don't have a lot of windows on the one side of my house, and it just gets dark because I think the front of my house faces the north side. So it's starting to get dark now. And Mrs. Mafia has tons of candles. Gets candles every holiday, every birthday. So she starts lighting up these candles, and the house smells like a Bath and Body Works store. Just a plethora of scent. And we go through the night, and it was hot. Tuesday night was hot, and it was really, really uncomfortable. You don't realize, no power. Everything is completely silent. Usually we sleep with an air cleaner on, and kind of gives a little bit of a background noise. And it was just hot. I mean, you were almost annoyed by your own breathing in the evening. You're sitting there and just like, wow. And all you can do is listen to your breathing. And I could listen to myself and listen to Miss Mafia breathe. And it was just unbelievably, it was, you wouldn't think it, but it was definitely, it just threw you for a loop. And it was uncomfortable. It was hot, and just not what the norm was that we've become so accustomed to. And maybe that's part of the issue, but who knows? So Wednesday morning comes, I wake up at the crack of dawn because I'm uncomfortable, and I'm waiting all night long. I think I hear, because we got all the windows open in the home, and I think I hear the air conditioner. I think I hear beeping. I hear, from trucks repairing things. And when we went out to get coffee, there were a lot of tree limbs and stuff down, but we saw some major damage, but I didn't see many people fixing things at that point. So Wednesday comes along, and it's hot. we're checking on the apps. The app says now we're gonna get power till for 5 days or later, 5 days from Tuesday, and we are now we're in need of ice because our refrigerator it's been about it's coming up on noontime, right? It's about 24 hours, and I'm not really sure of how long a refrigerator, which now I am, but I wasn't sure how long a refrigerator can hold a chill with no power. I don't know if it's every refrigerator, but I will get to that. And we looked everywhere for ice, and there was no ice anywhere. I went to CVS, right, because they have ice, and they were sold out. And we went to all the food stores, sold out. And finally, I'm driving. I went 4 towns over, and I'm driving and driving, and then Mrs. Mafia points out a sign on a Mickey D's, and it says ice, $1.69 a bag. And I'm like, this is a sign, right, AJ? I'm like, yeah, it was a sign. So I make a turn almost on two wheels because I was, we're on the highway and I almost passed it because I couldn't see the sign even if I was up against it with my eyesight. But, and we pull up to the drive-through and we get like 6 bags of ice. And it was, I was supposed to, they were big bags of ice, regular size, and they brought them out. The young lady was very, very nice because they couldn't fit them through the drive-through window. And we throw them in, we had a cooler in the car because we were looking for ice. And we came home, I threw a bag of ice in the freezer, I threw a bag of ice in the fridge, closed it back up again. We didn't have much in there. It was kind of when this happened, we were kind of getting ready to do a weekly shopping or 2 weekly. We don't go that often now because of the social distancing. We try to stay out of, we're in those high risk groups, so we try to stay out of there, AJ, but out of the food stores and, not interact, I guess, with potential putting ourselves at a potential hazard. We kind of stay out of that. But so same thing. Wednesday is hot. It is a smoker. It is humid. It is hot. We made the mistake of leaving all the windows open during the day instead of maybe shuttering them and closing them in, keeping the cool air in, which we learned for the following day. But we'll get to that. And so Thursday comes as we had a little. Mrs. Mafia had put a little. Temperature thermometer thing in the refrigerator to monitor it. And surprisingly, with the ice and all, Miss Mafia makes smoothies a lot, and she has a lot of frozen fruits packed in the freezer, and it was really packed in there. But it kept everything, 35, 36 degrees in the freezer, around 40 in the refrigerator for the day, and we weren't opening and closing it. We actually used our cooler, and we had some drinks in the cooler, so we didn't have to go back and forth into the fridge or freezer. So that was important, I think. But it was like 90 plus outside that day. And it was hot. It was just so uncomfortable. And we had to figure something out. So we were out on the prowl. We were like, hey, listen, we got in the car. We said, do we get a hotel? Do we try to buy a generator? Because our neighbors, at this time, we hear a lot of neighbors running generators and doing all that stuff. And then we're like, well, what are we going to do with a $1,000 generator? Number two, it's $1,000 generator. A lot of money for, we're going to go get it. And with my luck, it'll come home and the power will be back on. And, do we go to a hotel and then how many days are we going to be there? Are we going to be there for 3, 4, 5 days? Now we're the price of the generator and kind of now we got to weigh, well, do we get the generator? And the generator would only probably run a refrigerator, a fan, maybe a light or two in the evening, which, we had lanterns, we had battery operated lanterns and all that stuff. So, we couldn't get, we couldn't get a generator, right? We couldn't get one. They weren't available anywhere, even though I had to do some research to figure out which one do we need? How much do I need? And there's all these, different, amps, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 and what they run and how much electricity they can use and utilize. And I was perfectly fine. We had a little land battery. I think it was Energizer. It was a little battery operated lantern we had. And, when you use the lavatory, you put the lantern in the middle, lights everything up. It was good for, I think it operated off C batteries and it lit up the whole room enough. And it wasn't the same, obviously, as having light, a regular light fixture operating. But it was also, we took a shower. I was surprised our hot water AJ, I've told you before, my hot water heater's always on the fritz. It works. Sometimes it doesn't, especially in the winter. Forget it. Um, but day three, it was still kind of hot. Quick showers and stuff, but it was still kind of hot. It was it was hot. I mean, it was hot, and we needed something. So we can't find a generator. We can't go to a hotel. We don't know when the power is going to go back on at this point. So there's a lot of variables. And we went to all the home improvement stores, and there was always about this time, I think there was about 500,000 people they were reporting still didn't have power in New Jersey. I don't know how much in my area, but I think it was probably 80 or 90% of my entire town. That's what they said. Like I said, all the hotels were booked up, and Miss Mafia went with me to what is my least favorite home improvement store. We'll call Moe's, which I did a whole podcast episode about my little experience there. But she saw these batteries in the Craftsman aisle. They're for power tools, but there was a fan, and it was a power tool fan. It was like a tool fan, I guess. I don't know how you explain it, but it's not a regular fan. It was Craftsman, and there were these batteries that you put into it that use the same ones you use on like a drill, like a power tool, and they last at least 8-10 hours. And there was a 2-pack of them. And I figured that's a great idea, and it only cost us like $100, so it's 10% of the cost of a generator, right? Well, could be obviously less than a hotel, and we were able to charge them up at the office, which I wish I could have slept at the office, but there was enough power there just to charge stuff up and all that stuff. And then but there's not enough room there. There's a little tiny office that we use for administration purposes, and but so we had a fan. We had a battery operated fan. So Thursday night wasn't too bad because we had the background noise. It was good to sleep. It was a little bit cooler. Still very uncomfortable for me, but I wake up Friday, and even though it was hot, it was a little bit better of an evening. It was a little cooler Thursday into Friday night. And at this point, I had enough. It's Friday. Couldn't get my podcast online. I'm thinking, what else is going to happen in 2020, right? I mean, this is really, the power outage is really sealing the deal here, with everything that has gone on, one thing after another. And, it's frustrating, and you try to stay positive, but it was very frustrating. And so I drive around, we go around town because that's our, air conditioning is drive around town, and I didn't want to run out of gasoline in the car and put the miles on the car, I'm kind of strict with that. But, I'd rather walk than put the miles on the car. I don't want to, I don't know why. It's just a thing. But anyway, so we drive around, we look at trees everywhere, power wires everywhere, cable wires, whatever's hanging from the trees. Power lines snapped in half. The tree, I say power lines too. I'm sorry. I mean the poles that I've seen literally in the shape of an L across the highway. I saw big trees posted leaning on people's houses, like 100-foot trees leaning on people's houses, maybe more, bigger than that. And it was just a mess. It was almost like a tornado ripped through here. And but it was promising. I did see some people, like tree workers, cutting the trees down. But I think there's a procedure where the tree workers have to fix the trees before the electrical people can do their work, which makes sense. But I don't know why those two don't, power companies just don't have tree companies and just kind of, get the two together. But I'm not going to name names, but my local power company, the one we use, I didn't see any of their trucks anywhere. I saw a lot, eventually I saw power company trucks from other states, but none branded with my power company. So my question, I guess, and my thought process is, well, do they just not have trucks, and when there's a power, they kind of outsource the fixing? And I think that's a horrible way to deal with especially an emergency and a utility company that needs to get their act together. They need to fix these in either pre-storm or just general maintenance. Go around, and if there's trees on the, I don't know. I don't know whose responsibility it is for it, AJ, and to fix the trees and the ones that run along the streets, and not the ones that go from, like, I guess the power from the street to the house, but the ones that just go down the road. There's got to be some more accountability for that. I don't know. That's a whole nother rant. I'm not going to get into that, but So what was also frustrating was the power company kept changing first it was 5 days, then it was going to be Thursday. And now I'm into Friday and I look on and then it says Friday by 11 p.m. I'm like, and it kept changing. So it was, telling me the power is going to be out for 4 days. And that's it, you know, earliest 5 days, I guess maybe you can even say, hey, the original 5 day thing, leave it. 5 days, I know what I'm up against. It might not be pretty. It might not be fun. You want it to be sooner. It is what it is. Natural disaster. What are you going to do? But don't keep changing it around and then changing to a shorter date, getting everybody happy. And then go, like, it's just, I don't know. As you can see, now it's Friday. It's hot. There's just you feel helpless. There's nothing you can do. There's no ice anywhere. There's no generators anywhere. There's no hotels anywhere. So Friday, it was around brunch time, I guess you'll say, around 11 o'clock. And I said to Miss Mafia, let's go out and have lunch. Let's go to a place. We found a place that was nice. Eat. You still can't eat inside here in New Jersey now, and it was under like a wedding tent. And we went out to lunch, and we had a nice cool breeze under the tent. It felt like we were kind of at an outdoor wedding eating. Remember that wedding we went to, AJ, back in what was that, September of last year, I think. Yeah. I don't remember who got married, to be honest with you. Okay, so it was your cousin. Okay, well, I know I gave them a gift, so I remember that. Anyway, so we go to the wedding. We go to lunch. We had a nice lunch, nice cool breeze. Miss Mafia, boom, gets a text messages. She gets a text message that says, "Hey, your power's on. If it's not on, reply no." And we're out. So we were finishing up our lunch, which was relaxing and kind of a nice change. And we get in the car. I fly home. Walk in the door, and the lights are on. The lights are on. Our kitchen light is on, and the first thing I did was turn on. I had shut the breakers off from my air conditioner because in case the power flickered, I didn't want it to ruin my air conditioner. They say it's bad for your compressor of the air conditioner. So I turned on the breaker. I turned on the AC. I cranked it to 70. I said, I don't care, Mrs. Mafia. The 75-degree rule. We're gonna get this puppy nice and cold in here. So we crank it up to 70. Go through. Start seeing all the stuff that we left around because now the lights are on and the house is kind of a little bit of a mess. Clean everything up, turn the AC on, and that's it. And that was the ordeal. Now the power is on, and I was so thankful. We were smiling. We were happy. And, that's how it works. But what did we learn? Well, we learned a lot. And I'm going to be right back. And I'm going to give you the tips that we learned through this whole ordeal. So next time, maybe it'll help you. It's definitely going to help me because I'm going to be prepared. And we will be, after this short break, we will be right back with tips for dealing with and preparing yourself for a power outage. Well, hello again. Welcome back, Mafians. Welcome, everyone. We are going to follow up here with our tips for dealing with and preparing yourself for a power outage. AJ, could we come up with a longer title? I mean, really, just say tips for a power outage. Why do we need all of this extra words in the copy here I'm reading? Okay, well, we're going to do this freehand. I'm not going to read this copy anyway. I know it. I just experienced it firsthand. Welcome, everyone, again. This is Too Clever Mafia. Some just say Clever Mafia. And you're listening to the Too Clever Mafia podcast once again. And don't forget to visit us over on our website, tooclevermafia.com. And like and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like and subscribe really helps us a lot. And if you want to support our channel like many of you do, and we do appreciate so much of the donations, and you get some free gear too, head over to Too Clever Mafia on Patreon and to support our channel, and Teespring if you want to buy all our fun merchandise. We spoke about earlier, we got the new masks coming out. Yeah, that logo is sweet. It is, what do they say? That is a hot logo. No? Cool logo? Cool's kind of an old word. No? Oh. Anyway, I like the logo. And you can listen to us obviously on Anchor, Spotify, all that good stuff. But here's our tips. We're gonna share with you, or I'm gonna share with you, because AJ was up in Connecticut with power, air conditioning. I don't know if you're swimming. Were you swimming around in your pool up there? No? No pool, no filter? Oh, so, can't swim in the dirty water. Got a couple of leaves in it. You know, when I was a kid, I'm not going to go off the rails here too much, but when I was a kid, I used to swim in a lake, a pond, whatever you found, water, a puddle, a big puddle. And you didn't have to have fancy chlorine and chemicals and swim where there was water. Yeah, you might have been fish in there. You know, you go to the ocean, you swim in the ocean. If you have access to the ocean, you could swim there. There's fish in there. But, I don't know. Anyway, so these are our tips. These are our tips for dealing with a power outage. And number one, candles. Mrs. Mafia has a lot of smelly candles. Good smelly candles, depending on who you ask. But they're not great for power outages, AJ. Definitely not great. Have some emergency candles. And because the smelly ones give me a headache, and probably most people, and I don't know if those chemicals are good to breathe all the time. I don't even like those little plug-ins. What are they, Glade plug-ins? Whatever they are, they plug them into the wall, and Mrs. Mafia has them all over the house, but they got little butterflies and different shapes on them. But that oil or whatever, it's just, too much for me. Some people like it, not for me. But these emergency candles, they're not expensive. They burn clean, and not like a regular candle, which I learned because we had a few emergency candles from Sandy from 10 years ago. I broke out when we lost power, and they burn clean right down to nothing. Basically, they just fizzle out, and there's no wax dripping down them. They're pretty neat, and they burn pretty bright too. We had a few of them, and I've already ordered some from my supplier at Amazon, and we're going to get some more of those. But definitely, you have to have these candles, have emergency candles, put them away, put them someplace safe. You'll be thankful you did. Number two is you have to have a good cooler. Quite a few years ago, I bought this cooler, but that has a 5-day cooling time, a 5-day. And it wasn't crazy expensive, but get yourself a good 3 to 5 day cooler so you can use it in a pinch. It worked out wonderful for me. I was able to store the ice in there because I didn't want to put it all. It actually stayed colder in my. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, it stayed colder, I guess, because of the bundle of ice in my cooler than it did in my refrigerator and freezer. But I was able to each day take a bag of ice, put it in the freezer, a bag of ice, put it in the refrigerator to try to keep the temperatures normal so I didn't lose all my food and anything perishable in there. But it wasn't much in there, but it did surprisingly keep through the, was it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? So 4 days. So it did keep well. I'm very, very surprised on how that worked out. But you have to have a good cooler. You buy these cheap ones, you're lucky if you get a day out of them. But there's good ones made by some reputable manufacturers, but they're days cool, like 3 to 5 day coolers. Ones they bring camping sometimes, and have it at your ready. You'll be happy you did. You also speaking about the refrigerator, you want to keep that door closed. You want to keep it closed. It will stay cold. All the stuff like I said, I put some drinks in the cooler too. A couple of soda and water and stuff, which we had in the cooler. So I didn't have to go and open up the refrigerator every single time and let that cold air out. Because once it came out, it wasn't going back in. And, most of my stuff, it stayed good for a few days. Even I had eggs in there, the milk, it stayed. It stayed good. So check your stuff, though. I'm not advocating eating food that's spoiled, but, if you're comfortable. But my stuff seemed, so far, I'm still here, seemed to have it held the line, right? So, and we can monitor your temps. We used a little thermometer that we use for food to check meat temperatures and stuff. And we cleaned it all off. And once a day when we put the ice in there, I'd put the thermometer in the freezer, just kind of lay it on top of everything, and then did the same in the refrigerator to see the temps. And they stay held. They a couple of degrees off, but they stayed around. The freezer stayed around that 32 mark, and the fridge, stayed a little bit around there, so where it should be around. I think it was, I don't remember, maybe 40, somewhere around there. But and that was just kind of in the middle, and where the stuff was kind of packed in. I'm sure it was colder. Put everything together to kind of keep it cool. But definitely have one of those. You'll be happy you did. Water's another one. I don't know what number this is on the list, but have a couple of gallons of water around the house. I'm glad I did. If you have a well, you have to have a backup supply of water if you lose power, or if you don't have power backup, or on all that stuff. But definitely have a gallon or two of water per person, and that way you can drink it, use it for brushing your teeth or whatever you want. If you do lose water, fortunately I had water, but I didn't, because I have city water, but I didn't have hot water, because my hot water heater. But my hot water, because of the temperatures, wasn't too bad either. But it kept it pretty warm what was in there. But definitely have some water around you for drinking. If some people just like to drink filtered water, and if you have a power filtered water dispenser or whatnot, you're not going to have that either. So something to think about. Things you don't think about till you lose your power, and then you realize you wish you'd thought about it beforehand, right? So batteries are big. So I have a lot of batteries around the house. The grandkids like to play, the games, and has the Nerf guns that are battery operated and all that. So I happen to have a lot, but plenty of batteries. Also 9-volt batteries, because when your power goes out, in my case, I have power. Some of my carbon, I always get mixed up with this, carbon monoxide. Yeah, carbon monoxide detectors and fire detectors, smoke alarms. They use battery backups, but a couple of mine actually are connected to the power source, and they have a battery backup. So when the power goes out, they're working strictly on battery. And if some of those batteries are old, you're going to get that beep beep beep, and then eventually you just have no detection. And with what I'll get to in a moment about the generators, you want to have that carbon monoxide detector working, especially in a power outage. So very important to have. But have those 9-volt batteries for that stuff. Most people don't have throw a couple, make sure you have them. C batteries. I use the C batteries in my lantern, and D batteries in my big flashlights, and then AA and AAA in the smaller flashlights I have. The lantern I was using to light up the room every night when I would take a shower. Kind of like the dim ambiance, so to speak. Couldn't really see myself in the mirror that well. Couldn't see this ugly mug. So it was kind of good. But I'm happy we got power and air conditioning and all that stuff back, and refrigeration is important. But getting to the generators, though, and even though I didn't manage to get one, and I don't have one, if I did have one and a safe place to store it when I wasn't using it, once every couple of years when you use them, I probably would have one, to be honest with you. But during my travels around my neighborhood through this ordeal, and hearing all of the fire trucks in the middle of the night responding to the carbon monoxide calls, which I'm hearing were all because of generators, in the middle of the night, which I was wide awake anyway, couldn't sleep. You got to be very careful, and you got to keep them outside. People put them in their garages. Would you start a car and let a car run in your garage? With the garage door closed, or even with it open, the fumes are going up into your house if your house is above the garage, or very, very dangerous. You've got to be very careful with those generators. And the recommendation is you keep them at least 10 feet away from your house. And some people I saw had them right in front of their door. And I'm like, that can't be good. And I don't know if they're a fire hazard, and I don't know. I would imagine it's an engine, so it could, if it runs out of gas or oil, if it wasn't maintained, if it's older. A lot of people just went out and bought whatever one they could find in the stores. So most of them probably were new, but they just weren't careful. And you can carbon monoxide is dangerous, very dangerous, and you wouldn't know, and that'd be horrible. And I hope I haven't heard any stories, but a lot of people CO2. Actually, I don't think it's CO2. I think carbon monoxide detectors have were going off, and their batteries were going off, and all that good stuff. But the bad stuff, not good stuff. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful of that. And finally, what I learned through this whole thing, the 4-day ordeal of sleeping in the dark. Sleeping in the dark, right? Sounds weird, but I always have a nightlight on, and with my bladder and my age, I make several trips to the lavatory in the evening, and in the darkness, I can't tell you how many times I walked into the wall and tripped over things, and it wasn't fun. But the in the darkness, in the heat, in the quiet, absolute quiet, um, it we learned, Mrs. Mafia and I, that a lot of other people are wimps. AJ, I think a lot of other people, they needed generators. I didn't need one. I mean, I would have liked to have one, but I couldn't get one. But, I didn't need one. At the end of the day, I don't have to worry about putting it back in storage and finding a place for it, or putting it somewhere and letting it just collect dust and, $1,000 out the window. I didn't need a hotel. I didn't need lights. I didn't need air conditioning. I would have liked it, but I didn't need it. And, by Friday, my lights went out on Tuesday, but by Friday, I got to say, I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. And I'm getting kind of good in this routine. And then kind of liked going to bed when the sun went down at 8 o'clock. That was my plan. You get up at 5:30. It was like I was living on a farm, I kind of liked it. Early bird catches the worm, they say, AJ. What time do you get up? What time? Did you say 1 o'clock in the AM? Or PM? You stay up late. Well, okay, good for you. Good for you. Wow, I don't know. I haven't slept till, I don't remember when I've ever slept till 1 o'clock. I mean, I've gone to sleep at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for a nap, but I haven't, oh boy. The beauty of youth, folks, the beauty of youth. But, so I learned other people are really wimpy. That Too Clever Mafia is pretty tough, and my Mafian's pretty tough out there. I did have a couple of breakdowns at 2 a.m. A couple of times I thought, AJ, I was in the, you ever see Red Dawn? I thought it was in the sequel for Red Dawn. At first I'm like, well, we lost power. We had a pandemic. This has got to be the work of some other, country that doesn't like us and is slowly killing us from the inside, But, I thought I was in the sequel. I don't know who would play me, because I think Patrick Swayze played the original one. He was a star in the original one, right? And then that's the only guy. I think there was a Penn in there, a Sean Penn. I don't know who. Some one of them were in there. And then in the second one, there was that guy. I don't know if it was the guy who played Thor or his brother. One of those guys. I always get those two confused. But he was in the second one. I like the original. But if I was in a third one, it would star me and only me. And I wouldn't have anybody play me. It would be me. And I'd be out there with, all my Mafians behind me, yelling Wolverine, or yelling Mafians, or something like that. I don't know. Wow, this has gone crazy. But, so those are our tips. Just, you got to be prepared. Really, have the stuff you need. Be prepared. You may never need it, but needing it, not having it, as opposed to having it, not needing it. If you can afford it, have a couple of things, have some batteries, basic stuff, water. It helped out a lot. If I could go back and do it over, maybe I would have had a generator set up, if I found it going for a good price. Then you need gasoline, and the gas, you should have seen the lines at the gas pumps. That's a whole nother thing. And you got to be real careful and have the space for a generator with the carbon monoxide and all that. So this has been kind of a special episode. I don't know if I'm not going to say it's a special edition, but it's kind of off track because we had another episode planned. And we wanted to get something out there. Sorry, we're a day late and a dollar short, kind of the story of the Too Clever Mafia podcast. But next week, we're going to be back to our regular schedule. We've got a really good, I think we're going to talk about, I don't know, AJ's, I think we're going to do something about, I'm not going to spoil it. How's that? It was AJ's idea. We're not going to spoil it. We're going to talk about it next week. We're going to use some new technology, maybe review maybe some video clips and have some of that stuff brought into the show, some more audio. But this has been a very low-tech performance because of the situation. But once again, don't forget, please visit us over at tooclevermafia.com. Like and subscribe. We're on Facebook at Too Clever Mafia, Twitter at Too Clever Mafia, Instagram, Teespring for all of our wonderful... You know what? Hey, if real quick, if anybody hears this and really wants to, go over to Twitter, post I want a T-shirt on Twitter, on our Twitter feed, and I will pick. I'll pick a winner by the end of this month to give away a free T-shirt. How's that sound? You think so, AJ? Yeah. Post on Twitter that you want a free T-shirt. I guess you could do it on YouTube under the video of this podcast, or Twitter, or even Facebook. I don't know, Instagram. Yeah, I wouldn't do it on Instagram. Go to Twitter, go to YouTube, or go to Facebook and post that. Say just like and subscribe, and just put "I want a T-shirt," and we'll pick somebody, and I'll send out a free T-shirt to the lucky winner. And if you want to donate to our show to support it, head over to Patreon. Listen to us again on all of our podcast channels: Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Bullhorn. Like and subscribe, folks. And I am Too Clever Mafia. You are listening once again to the Too Clever Mafia podcast. And AJ, that's all I have to say about that. Until next week, my friends. Bye-bye for now. Wow, AJ, welcome back, Mafians, listeners out there. And it's been a fun week. We were going to kind of not do an outro on this episode, but and we said earlier that all of our equipment was okay, but we kind of noticed through our tips segment, we had a little bit of I guess a surge must have come through, right, AJ? Yeah, I think it damaged a piece of our equipment. So next week we promise to bring you, I think AJ said do you sound okay now, AJ? Yeah? Yeah, we record these live with very little editing, so kind of is what it is, but I think he said he's fixed the problem. But just so you know, and we'll give it a lot of tweets, I'm sure. Hey, what happened to the quality, the top quality that you guys are so have become so accustomed to? We didn't quite have that, but considering the situation, we apologize. But hopefully you understand. But today, it's been a great show. I'm glad we were able to get back online and get our show out there for you folks and all of our great listeners. And remember to support our podcast if you can. Head over to tooclevermafia.com. Like and subscribe on all our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Check out our merchandise. I didn't say merch again. Merchandise over on Teespring. And listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Bullhorn. Like and subscribe on the actual podcast app. We'd really appreciate it. And yeah, we're actually moving up the rankings, AJ, in Apple Podcast now. We were doing real well in Bullhorn, but now we're hitting the big dogs. We're almost getting to be that new and noteworthy section, right? That's what we're aiming for. But yeah, we're moving up the rankings. We got quite a few people listening to us over on there, and thank you. We do appreciate it. And drop us a line. Maybe we'll shout out your screen name in one of our episodes and give you props, right? Right, AJ? We'll say props, but yeah, so we're going to wrap it up today, and I hope everyone enjoyed and got something out of our tip segment, and doesn't have to experience what I went through, although it wasn't the worst experience in the world, not having air conditioning, but you be prepared. If you're prepared, I think, what do they say? Chance favors the prepared mind, right? Or is it just chance favors the prepared? I don't know. Either way, hope everybody stays safe out there. Hope everybody does get their power back soon if they haven't already, and it doesn't have any repercussions from the storm that were shot up the Northeast, if you're listening to us. But we do have a lot of listeners all over the country and all over the world, actually. We gained quite a few subscribers in Brazil. I didn't even know, I guess, English-speaking Brazil. I don't really translate. Ireland is also, we got a lot of listeners. If you're listening to us in Ireland, we really appreciate it. And did you know, speaking of Ireland and that area of the world, but over in Scotland, I am a laird. I bought a little piece of land, and Miss Mafia said I'm officially a laird is my title. So I'm Lord, Too Clever Mafia. That's my title I think I should use. What do you think? No? Okay. Well, either way, we're going to wrap up today. Start preparing for next week's show, and hope everybody stays safe out there. And I am Too Clever Mafia. This is the Too Clever Mafia podcast, and that is all I have to say about that. Bye-bye for now.